So I'm so excited about my lighting setup and how the studio space looks now that I wanted to make a whole nother video and talk more about my camera settings and my post-editing process. So what you're seeing now is how I film the video and what it looks like before any post-processing whatsoever. And then here is what it looks like with a little bit of tweaking. Now I've actually created my own custom setting in Final Cut Pro, and I'm going to teach you all about that in today's video. So without further ado, let's hop into it. So what's going on, everyday people? I'm Chad Everyday, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my camera settings. I'm actually getting a phone call. Hang on just a second. So I got a little sidetracked from that phone call, but hopefully we're kind of staying on track with things. But first of all, I want to talk about my camera settings. So I am shooting at 24 frames a second, which makes my shutter speed at 50. And then I also set my aperture value to f2.8 because that's the most wide open fast aperture that I can get on this particular lens. And my ISO is setting at about 160 right now. And I'm compensating that with the whole lighting setup that I got. Now I do film a little bit on the darker side of things, just so that way these colors back here pop. Because if I start to pull that ISO up or kind of mess with any other settings, you don't really get to see these colored lights as well as you would like. Now I'm also shooting with Canon's neutral picture profile. Used to, I would set my camera to the Devin Graham settings, which are phenomenal settings, and they require very minuscule editing or color grading, and I'll leave those down in the comment section. I'll pin a comment with those particular settings. Now that's what I use if I'm going to be doing more vlogging or kind of outdoorsy stuff, because I think the colors and everything really pop. All it is just slight decreases to saturation, no sharpening and things like that, so you could just apply minuscule little edits in post. But I want a little bit more control and flexibility with the color grading of this, so I can really be sure these colors pop and look really good. So when you're filming yourself and you look at these things, it doesn't look that great right away, but when you add a little bit of editing, which we're going to jump into right now, it changes everything. Okay, so now that we're in Final Cut, we could do a little bit of editing. So as you saw, this is what the video footage looks like with the effects added, and this is what the footage looks like all flat and just kind of plain. So all that I did here was just go and add a color wheels adjustment to the particular file. So the first thing, when you shoot flat, you're losing a lot of saturation. So all I did was go into the master saturation file here, and I just kind of started to pull that up. I pulled up my exposure slightly, and I did the same for the midtones. I pulled the highlights back a little bit, and I pulled my shadows down. So all I've done here is just kind of tweaked with that exposure just a little bit. So I pulled the exposure up, pulled the blacks down, the highlights down, and then the midtones up. Because I don't want the highlights to be too crisp and just kind of crazy. So if you kind of pull this up, you can see what I'm talking about here. So we're just kind of pulling those back where it got a little bit hot in the recording process. Pulled the midtones up, and then I want the blacks or the shadow areas to be a little bit darker for that contrast. But that's really all that I did to this. Now, across all of my video footages, I also do add a sharpening adjustment layer here, and I usually do between 2.5 and 3. And you know, that's because I usually have sharpening cut down to 0 or less than that, maybe a -1 in my camera, because I like the post-processing sharpening look a lot better than the digital sharpening that the camera does. So that's all that I did to edit this particular file to get it looking like this. So really quickly, I could cut off the color wheels. That's straight out of camera. And with some light tweaking and adjustments, there we have it, our final resolution. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and be sure to create something new today. But before you do go, be sure to click on one of the videos that's going to pop up here and see a lot of other cool, amazing stuff. If this is an older video, it's probably going to suggest the newest upload, or maybe something related to this video. Either way, click on one of those other videos, and I'm sure you'll learn something pretty cool. Hopefully the content will be as good as this, if this is even good. I mean, that's all. Whatever, just click on a video, watch it, have a good time.